Hello everyone, this is Yvette. For this video, I'll be showing you how to crochet a basic bra cup using single crochet stitches and how to take measurements to adjust it for different sizes. The materials we'll be needing are a tape measure, a pair of scissors, tapestry needle, a stitch marker, a crochet hook. I'm using a 4mm crochet hook, and this yarn is Lily's Sugar and Cream 100% cotton. The hook recommended for this is actually 5mm, but I like to go down a couple of sizes to make my stitches smaller and tighter. So this is just a basic guide. This may or may not work for your body type or the look that you're going for. Before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about choosing the yarn for your project. So depending on what you're making and the look you're going for, you can choose what yarn goes best with that. Here are some of my favorites. This is Lily's Sugar and Cream, 100% cotton, very light and breathable. It does say on the label that some colors may run, but that's just how cotton is. It's really absorbent, so if you use it for swimwear, it's going to soak up a lot of water and can become heavy. If you're making swimwear, your yarn should have a little bit of stretch to it. So this is the Loops and Threads Yarn Lane Capri in the shade Coral. This has 57% cotton, 28% nylon, and 15% polyester. And I just want to show you how they crochet up. This one is pretty firm and holds its shape really well, but it doesn't have a lot of give. This one has more stretch to it and returns to its original shape quite well. Next, I'll be using this padding for reference to show you how to take your measurements. So you want to measure from the bottom of your bust up to the highest point or the middle point. And this is going to give you an idea of what the overall size of the cup should be. So for this example, let's say we're at about 7 centimeters. What we're going to do is we're going to crochet chain stitches till we have about 7 centimeters. And what I like to do is I don't make a slip knot at the beginning. I use this first stitch as a chain stitch and I work stitches into it. And later I'll show you why. So we're now at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So let's see if we have about 7 centimeters. So the formula for this cup is the number of chains should be the number of rows that you work as well. And that's going to give you a nice triangle shaped cup. So since we did 12 chain stitches at the beginning, we're going to work 12 rows of single crochet. Alright, so let's start our first row. So what we're going to do is we're going to work single crochet stitches here. We're going to do 3 single crochet stitches on this last chain and work the other side. So normally you would go into the sides of the chain stitch to work your stitches, but I find that it stretches out the chain stitch and I get noticeable holes in my work. So what I like to do is I work my stitches on the back bar of the chain stitch, and that's going to give us a really tight first row. So we're going to chain 1 and we're gonna work a single crochet stitch in the back bar of the second stitch away from the hook. Not the one that we just made. So insert your hook So you can see I now have the back bar of the chain stitch on my hook, and work your single crochet. So that's the first single crochet. And we're going to continue to work the rest of the back bars until we have 11 single crochets. Two. We're going to work the next one. 3. And we're just gonna keep doing that until we have 1 chain stitch left to work. Alright, so this is the second to the last chain stitch. So I just want to show you why I didn't start with a slip knot, because when I do, I often get this bump and it's hard to flatten it out. So starting with the chain stitch will let me pull that stitch tight so that it doesn't create the bump. Next, we're going to work 3 single crochets into this last chain, but instead of going into just the back bar, I'm going to catch the side of the stitch as well. And while I do that, I'm also going to be catching the tail so that it's hiding the tail and it's one less tail to weave in at the end of the project. So to do that, insert your hook into the stitch, put the tail on top of the hook, and work the stitch. And this is now the 3rd single crochet. Insert it into the stitch, catch the tail, and work the single crochet. So now we're going to be working on the other side. Make sure you're inserting your hook into both sides of the first chain stitches that we made. So when you insert your hook, you should have 3 loops on the hook, catch the tail, and then work the stitch. We're going to do that for the next 5 to 6 stitches to secure the tail. So we're going into the next one, insert your hook into both sides of the chain stitch, catch the tail, work the stitch, and go into the next one. Okay, and now I'm dropping the tail. I'm not hiding it anymore, and just working the rest of the row. And this is now the last stitch. Now we're gonna be pulling the tail to secure that first chain stitch. So hang on to the end of your work and give it a good tug. And it's always a good idea to count your stitches to make sure you have the correct number. So we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 stitches, the top stitch, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And as you can see, it's pretty tight. There aren't any large holes. So that's the first row. For the next row, we're going to turn the work, chain 1, work single crochet stitches here, work 3 single crochet stitches on the top, and work single crochet stitches on the other side. And put a stitch marker on the top stitch. And while working the next row, we're also going to be hiding the tail again, just to make sure it's secure. So we're going to chain 1 and work a single crochet into the same stitch. Now we're gonna take a tapestry needle and put the yarn through. And insert it through this loop to bring it up to the next row. I don't like hiding the tail back into the same set of stitches because it comes out just a bit thicker than the rest of the cup. So I'm going to be hiding this while I work the next couple of stitches. And then I'm going to work the next stitch on here. So insert your hook. Put the tail on top of the hook and work the stitch. So I'm just holding the tail on top of the stitches that I'm working to hide it. Now I'm dropping the tail, working the next couple of stitches. And cutting the tail. So I'm just speeding up the video. Work 3 single crochet stitches on the top stitch, and then work the rest of the row using single crochet stitches. Count your stitches to make sure you have the same number on both sides. And we're going to continue doing that until you have 12 rows. So just repeat the pattern, turn your work, chain 1, single crochet in the same stitch, single crochet up to the top stitch, work 3 single crochets on the top stitch, and then work the rest of the row. So this is what it looks like after 12 rows. And this is 13 chain stitches at the beginning, 13 rows, 14 stitches, 14 rows, 15 stitches, 15 rows. If you want to keep this ratio but do a border, you can do fewer rows. So this one, it has 13 stitches at the beginning and 11 rows. Then I did a row of double crochet and single crochet for the border. If you want a taller cup, you can do more stitches at the beginning and fewer rows. So this one is 15 chain stitches and 10 rows. If you want a wider cup that isn't as tall, do fewer stitches at the beginning. So this is 9 chain stitches and 13 rows. Stay tuned for part 2 on how to put the cups together. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and thank you for watching.